Here's Gaither off the right side. Has room. Gaither might go right up the gut at the 20. Gaither 15 inside the 10. He will score. Touchdown.
Smoky.com presents the Texas High School Football Show on 365 Sports. Brought to you by Peter Chevrolet.
Three receivers, Birch, Thomas, and Williams far side. Near side to Great. Fulbright to the right of Mordecai. Here comes the blitz. Mordecai throws a deep out. Pass. Caught. Kobe Birch. Touchdown.
Here's David Smoak.
Well, here we are again, week number 6 of the Texas high school football season. Smoky.com presents the Texas High School Football Podcast. Armstrong Sims is running the mothership behind the scenes. I'm David Smoak, and thanks to Peter Chevrolet for their sponsorship every week of this show. Peter Chevrolet with Randy Peters, the owner. Amazing supporters of local high school football in the East Texas area, in Longview, and of course, throughout the state of Texas as well. This week, a couple of different things. We, I think, have perhaps our best lineup. We've had La Vega's Don Hyatt on before, live in the studio. We'll have him on again today as we reach for that district they're in, a bye week or an off week after their win against Corpus Christi Miller. He's going to join us today. Also, Rockwall Heath head coach Mike Spradlin. He took Temple to a couple of state championship games when he was there. He has a chance. His offenses, wherever he goes. He was an assistant coach under Art Browse at University of Houston. The game to look back at that Rockwall and Rockwall Heath game is insane, and we'll try to do that with Mike Spradlin. Also, a series, a rivalry. Not the oldest in Texas, but it is, I believe, the 58th or 59th meeting. My alma mater, Universal City Randolph, against arch rival Cole High School in San Antonio. Both on military installations, Randolph Air Force Base, and Cole on Fort Sam Houston. They meet up again this week, and it's intriguing because both coaches are in their first year of being a part of the rivalry as head coaches, but both coaches have played in the game as former players at Randolph and Cole, and we'll have a chance to meet with them later on in today's show. And then at the end of the day, we'll have the best games for the upcoming week number 6. Here's a couple of quick notes about the best wins last week, and one of them is Rockwall Heath in double overtime in a crazy game against Rockwall, and we'll highlight that with Mike Spradlin momentarily. Let's see. Oh, La Vega, who we'll highlight as well, in their win on the road against Corpus Christi Miller, and they got after them. They ran back picks. They had a big-time game and beat Miller. That's a nice win. Melissa Smoak number, it depends on which poll you look at. Melissa has Argyle this week, and they will take on, they beat Paris last week. Paris, a team that at times has been ranked inside the top 10. Also, we mention them every week because they're just good, silly good. Carthage beat Gilmer 28-7. Alan Metzel's got a really good team at Gilmer, but Carthage is always just better, and they win 28-7. That's the final as well. So that's where we are, week number 5, headed to week number 6, and coming up next, how about 79-71? How about leading the game with 14 seconds left or whatever it was? You just scored, and then somebody beats you, or not beats you, but forces overtime, a Hail Mary. How about over nearly 1,500 yards of offense? How about 2 running backs, both on each team, with over 250 yards in the ground? It's crazy what happened with Heath and Rockwall, and we'll feature that with Mike Spradlin, the head coach at Rockwall Heath, as the Smoky.com presents the Texas High School Football Podcast continues on 365 Sports.
All roads lead to your largest selection of pre-owned in East Texas. 3306 West Grande in Tyler. It's time for a car buying experience you will enjoy at Peters Auto Sports. Cars from ultimate luxury to affordable economy, trucks from work to play to all-out adventure. Come by 3306 West Grande in Tyler or visit us online at Peters Auto Sports and take advantage of our nationwide delivery. It's all here. Peters Auto Sports in Tyler.
For a limited time, refinance your vehicle and have 90 days with zero payments. Only at Genco FCU. Refinancing lowers your rate and you pay less for your car. You can't pass on rates as low as 1.75% for 48 months. Apply online today.
Annual percentage rate subject to change without notice. Subject to credit approval, membership eligibility, and loan policies. Go to GencoFCU.org. NCUA Equal Housing Lender.
My money, my future, my credit union. Genco.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Rockwall Heat football coach Mike Spradlin, Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. So I'm on my way back from watching a game, Duncanville and Midway, and my daughter Jennifer, who's a huge sports fan, says that they were watching a show, and she starts to explain, if she could, the game with you and Rockwall. Have you gotten over that yet? I mean, that seems like that's one of those where you have such an adrenaline rush one way or the other, you can't sleep for 2 or 3 days.
Well, I didn't sleep for the first day, that's for sure. We've had to get over it, David. We got another one coming up here in 4 days, so you know how that works. I mean, you got to get that one out of your head and move on. But it was unique, no doubt about it. I've never been in one like it with as many. It got crazy and interestingly, when you put two teams together that both are pretty prolific offensively and go fast. Well, that's kind of what you get.
Well, yeah, and Rockwall, of course, has beaten some good people. Your one loss is a last-second loss, and you guys kind of just didn't hold on against South Lake Carroll. Last year, you made a run, really kind of in the end. You really kind of got on the radar with what you did. How much did that carry over to the confidence for this team?
Well, it is the thing, David. When you start off and you're working with some kids maybe that haven't had that kind of success, but you've got to develop some type of a hope system, that'll kind of get them thinking that they can, and then obviously when you do, then that belief factor kicks in, right? So it's like, South Lake game was the second game of the year. They went down and scored to go ahead with about 2 minutes to go. Maybe a little less. We drove it right down the field, and on fourth down, kicked a field goal with, 3 seconds to go and missed it, from 20 yards out. So, our kids thought we were going to win it. I thought we were going to win it, and we didn't. And I think the other night was a great example of just keep playing. We believed that that's the one thing we did. We kept playing hard, and I told them right there when we went to overtime, I said, somebody's going to win this game. It's going to happen, so let's make sure it's us. Anyway, we were very fortunate to hang in there. I was proud of our kids, and we were really tickled to come away with a win.
Well, and I'm referring to Baylor and Iowa State that played the next day. Obviously, Baylor beats 14th ranked Iowa State 31-29, but they made some mistakes. I mean, that could have been a catastrophic type loss. It turns out to be a really nice win along the way to see who they end up being. Well, how much better is it besides the obvious, if you have a game where you make some mistakes but you win it, do they listen to you even more?
Well, absolutely. We've when you go back a year ago at this time, Rockwall beat us a year ago. We were ahead 28-24 with about 8 minutes to go, and then went on a run, right? I mean, Cedar Hill beat us in the regional finals, and so we've had over the last 12 months since we've played them some pretty good success. And that obviously carries over. I mean, we went into the game believing we were going to win, and we played the game believing we were going to win. The Hail Mary with 2 seconds to go kind of got me a little bit, but other than that, we just hung in there, kept battling and kept fighting, and our kids played hard, and we won.
you've got a quarterback that obviously has got a bright future right now. I mean, he's fantastic in Josh Hoover. You've been around a few of them. You've seen him at the college level. You've seen him at the high school level. What makes him special?
Well, David, he is special, unbelievable. Really, I don't know if I've ever had a kid who not only has, sometimes you get kids who can process really well, and sometimes you get kids who have talent that don't process very well, and he's both. I mean, his ability, and of course, I don't know if you know this or not, but he's being coached by Chad President. So, Chad was Chad's been with me since I got to Heath, and so he's the guy that's obviously been in the system with Monty and all that, so Chad's done a tremendous job of working with Josh as well. And so he's just a great he loves the game. He's a fanatic about it, makes great decisions, and has the talent to back it up.
Well, Hoover, of course, committed to Indiana, and the run they made last year, they're kind of struggling a little bit this year, but he seems to be just spectacular. And there's Jordan Neighbors, who's actually committed to Baylor. You and I talked about this when he committed to Baylor. He's kind of picked up where he left off, too.
Absolutely, David. I mean, he's actually an improved version of himself, if you will. Jordan's actually, we didn't have Jordan for about the last quarter and a half. He wound up, we thought, unfortunately, it's not broken. We thought he broke his wrist. Mm-hmm. And then it turns out it's sprained, so we'll get him back. But Jordan's having a great year, David. I mean, he's really, he's just developing on. Last year Jordan was an outside receiver for us. We moved him to slot, last spring. Man, he has taken off now. He is doing a great job.
All right, so let's look at your schedule. And I mentioned the loss to South Lake Carroll, but you've beaten some good people. Their records have not been that good, the teams you've faced, but we know South Lake Carroll, and some of them are playing good people as well. Now you've started district with this one, and then Mesquite Horn, who's loaded with talent. Down the road, you've got teams like Legacy, and they've got 2 Division I wide running backs, and Skyline. Your thoughts about it? Was that I know you'll say no, but was that kind of a district championship moment last week?
Well, I'm going to say yes, only because, what we're doing is a week-to-week thing, right? So what we're preaching up this week is this week is a district championship moment.
Right.
I mean, if you're going to truly win it, well, then you got to re-identify it every week. And so, it's a thing that, you mentioned earlier the run, right? The run we had last year taught us that, while you're in the playoffs, obviously there's no tomorrow, right? You got to win. But every week is a championship week. And we're kind of taking that mantra right now. I mean, I think our kids have really embraced that, last Friday night was a district championship night, and tonight and next Friday night's going to be one, and we've got to stay in that mode. I mean, you're right, Horn's, very, very talented, and so we're going to have to stay focused in this district. I can promise you that.
Mike, it's great to see you succeed in what you're doing, what you've always done. Tell Chad President, one of my favorite people I've ever interviewed, ever, in 40 years of covering high school football. Thanks for your time. Congratulations on the massive win, and also good luck this week against Horn.
Appreciate it, David. Always do.
Mike Spradlin, head coach at Heath High School, Rockwall Heath, on 365 Sports.
All roads lead to your largest selection of pre-owned in East Texas. 3306 West Grande in Tyler. It's time for a car buying experience you will enjoy at Peters Auto Sports. Cars from ultimate luxury to affordable economy, trucks from work to play to all-out adventure. Come by 3306 West Grande in Tyler or visit us online at Peters Auto Sports and take advantage of our nationwide delivery. It's all here. Peters Auto Sports in Tyler.
For a limited time, refinance your vehicle and have 90 days with 0 payments. Only at Genco FCU. Refinancing lowers your rate and you pay less for your car. You can't pass on rates as low as 1.75% for 48 months. Apply online today.
Annual percentage rate subject to change without notice. Subject to credit approval, membership eligibility, and loan policies. Go to GencoFCU.org. NCUA Equal Housing Lender.
My money, my future, my credit union. Genco.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Back when last year they had the UIL 100, it was 100 of the greatest players, 100 of the greatest teams, 100 of the greatest rivalries and series and all these moments, and I was involved with that. And one of the things was I was able to write about some great players I've covered in my 40 years of covering Texas high school football. But I also got to write about a rivalry that I personally experienced for 1 year. And it's one that's somewhat underrated in certain places around the state of Texas, but it is amazing. The 59th meeting comes up this week when San Antonio Cole, the Cougars, take on the Rohawks of Universal City Randolph, and both of their coaches will join us now with Scott Kissy, the first-year head coach at Cole, who played there, and Elliot Ortiz, the first-year head coach at Randolph, who has been an assistant coach there for a decade but also played there as well. Coach Kissy, let me start with you. What makes we know about the military installations, Fort Sam Houston, Randolph Air Force Base, all of that, but is that what makes this so special? Can you try to describe it as a former player and now the coach?
Well, just, when you look at the military branches of the Army versus the Air Force, and just how prideful we are of the Army and how prideful Randolph is of the Air Force, I think that's where that's where it comes in. The big rivalry and just the pride part of it, of doing what they can to represent their military or their Air Force or the Army as best as they can.
And Elliot, you've experienced it as a player, and then the last few years under Pete West, who's been there a long time. I played by, that's how old I am. I played. Pete was a junior when I was a senior back in the mid-'70s. You've experienced the highs and lows of this as well. Your thoughts about the rivalry and what makes it so special?
Well, for me, it's, there's this interconnected community with the military where you go to the base gym in the summer as a teenager and you see the Randolph guys there, you see the Cole guys there at the base gym, and that, you're connected with them almost year round, not just, during football season or basketball season. And you got those similar experiences. And then, and it goes to even further than that, Army, Air Force, you look at the college game, and the military connectedness is just, I don't know, it's just something special. It's unique. Not everyone has this experience, and all of our kids are a part of that. And also, it's like brothers, fighting with each other, or a sibling rivalry almost between Randolph and Cole. Yeah, there's no question about it. I played in the one game, and this is my and I told Coach Kissy this, and Elliot, you might have remembered I told you this, and I congratulated you when you got the job there to replace Pete. But I was there 1 year. We moved in from Japan. My dad was stationed at Randolph, and we tied Cole. And every year prior to that, Randolph had won the game, and I was always on the team that was the first to never beat Cole. You were on a team that lost to Cole. Is that correct? Or is it 2003? Yeah, 2003 we lost in overtime, and that's always that's just something that sticks with you. You lost to Cole. Like, that's just something that will never go away. It's a stain on your shirt, almost. So it's one of those things that you got to live with. Well, it's Army, Navy, Army, Air Force, and like we mentioned as well. Scott, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, one of our coaches, we talked about last year, is like, y'all remember the score last year? Mm-hmm. And one of the kids was like, oh, it was 41-0. And I was just listening, and I was like, I'm not thinking about last year's score. I'm still thinking about 36-30 in 1996. and Coach is right. It sticks with you. And that's what a rivalry does. It's supposed to be like that. It's supposed to mean something that much. And I just wanted one more game with Coach West. And congratulations to Coach Ortiz, but I really wanted Coach West one more time to try to get a win over him. Maybe not as a player, but as a coach. But
Did you guys, Elliot, when you played there, you were there a little bit later than Coach Kissy. Did you immediately get soaked up in the tradition of this rivalry? Did it take long for you to understand they don't want to, we don't like each other, whether you're at Cole or at Randolph, but there's that incredible respect that you both talked about. Did it get marinated in your body pretty quickly?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm kind of fortunate and an oddball when it comes to the military child, because I got to Randolph in 5th grade and I graduated from Randolph. So I was able to come all the way through middle school, going to the games to see Randolph Cole. I remember they beat our 2000 team they ran a fake punt, got the first down, ended up going down and winning the game winner. And so I just, even from 6th grade, I could remember that Cole Randolph was a big deal for everyone in our school.
Scott, how long were you at Cole? I know you mentioned the years.
3 years. I moved down to San Antonio, but we lived on the west side, so I ended up going to Zachary, and then I went to Taft High School, and then we moved on base, and that's when I got the opportunity to come to Cole. So my sophomore, junior, and senior year.
How long did it take you to understand the history since you had been at Taft, which is a high school, obviously, in San Antonio? Did it kind of like you knew that pretty quickly? What was there a moment something was said?
Coach, really, it came down to that we played them the first game of the season. Mm-hmm. So we had Randolph right out the bat, and it was really my introduction to varsity football as a sophomore. and it wakes you up real fast, and you learn real fast about your opponent and your rival and somebody that you really don't know anything about them. But once we kicked off, it's like, I don't like these guys.
Yeah.
Because I'm not supposed to. I mean, you're being told by people about this is what it's all about. And so I found out the very first week, the very first game.
Well, my only game was in 1976, and I mentioned it was the first team to not beat Cole. It was a 0-0 tie, and I think that Scott, right before you got there, it was a 0-0 tie in 1993. And it's something that, honestly, even now, I was 1976, and even now I remember that game. And that's what it's about the memories of high school, the good, the bad, or maybe the indifferent as well. So both of you come into this game. I think you're both 2-2. There's a common opponent, Natalia. And I know that, Elliot, you guys didn't get the best of that, and Cole beat Natalia. Is there anything else you guys have seen, Elliot, as far as this game? Any kind of common opponents other than that as far as this year's game?
No, Natalia was the only common opponent that we both had. We played YMLA. YMLA played Luling. Cole played Luling. You can go all sorts of mixed directions with it, but Natalia was the only common opponent that we had. And YMLA, they scrimmaged YMLA, actually.
Okay, and obviously, Scott, you guys had a couple of nice wins as well, and that's the only common opponent. So you've seen each other because of who else has played. You studied the game. It's already, it's coming up here pretty soon. Your thoughts about what you see with Randolph?
Just like in 1997, just like in probably 1976, you got to stop the buck sweep. They're a pin and pull team, and that's just what they are. And so you're going to face a bunch of athletic kids that are well coached, an aggressive offensive line that takes care of their blocks. You're going to find a defense that loads the box and stops the run, which everybody knows in the state of Texas. If you want to win, you got to stop the run.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
The only thing that's different about Randolph that's sort of a little bit new is that they're in the gun, but they're still doing the same stuff and doing it real well. Very well coached.
Do either of you, this is the 59th meeting, but it's 59. It's not consecutive because 1986, there was this massive buildup. These two teams were headed for a collision course, and the game was canceled. It was, I think, the opening game again. It was Lightning that canceled the game, or it was a non-district game. Do you know the history of the series, either one of you? I mean, other than just what I've mentioned recently?
Yeah, I know it pretty well. It seemed Coach West would always put up the wins and losses on the dry erase board before the game on Friday night. So we've been pretty good in this rivalry, but it's a rivalry. Anything can happen on any game, so you never know what can happen because everyone saves all their tricks for Randolph Cole. So we might go back under center. Who knows?
Little mind games here this week.
We had to talk about that, a discussion this weekend about it. I was like, there's no way.
Yeah. Scott, you played in it earlier than Elliot did. Again, Scott Kissy, the head coach at Cole, and also Elliot Ortiz, the head coach at Randolph. An incredible rivalry that you have to be a part of it, to experience it, to be a part of it. Do you know Joel Smith? And obviously he was there right before he left, right before you got there. And as far as you know, the history of Bob Mickler, who built Randolph to what they were for so many years.
I've just heard stories about Coach Smith. I never got a chance to meet him because I came in Coach Larry Ransom's first year. Mm-hmm. So I don't know much about him. I know that he made the kids play hard and he got the best out of them, but I don't know too much about him. I know Mickler Field. Yep. I do know that the Randolph Stadium is named after him, but as far as much history before that, I don't know a whole bunch.
Scott, you've won twice already. You're 2-2. That's your record. But what would it mean to win your first game as a coach? Since you did talk about what happened when you were a player, including the last game, 36-30 as a player, you lost. What would it mean to you as a coach to beat Randolph?
Well, just get the kids perform and do what they need to do to be successful and be part of the winning side of the rivalry would be huge. It might take some of those bad memories I have, like the 4 interceptions in 1995.
Oh,
that Coach West, like gladly and smilingly, told me last April when we were at a track meet.
He reminded you of that, huh?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's the Pete West I know. He had kind of that sarcastic type sense of humor. Elliot, as I mentioned, you were a coach. You were an assistant for a long time until now, and you experienced success against Cole as a player, as you mentioned. Other than the game in overtime, what would it mean to you to win your first Cole Randolph game as a head coach?
It would be huge. It would be huge for our program and our kids to try and, start this rivalry, with a new coach on the right foot. I know it would mean a lot to all the text messages I've been getting all week. So it would mean a lot to me personally, just because, it's one of you experienced it. You still remember you didn't win. And it's one of those things that Randolph, it's an expectation that, hey, Cole week is a huge week, and if you fall short, it sticks with you. So hopefully, we can go out there and perform up to our capabilities.
What do you know, and what did Pete West share with you about the late great Bob Mickler?
So I've been Randolph born and bred pretty much. Coach West was my head coach, and I worked with him. Also, Coach Miller was a graduate from Randolph. And I worked with him, and my principal when I was in school was Mr. Cannon. So
Bruce Cannon. Yeah,
Bruce Cannon. So they've told me quite a bit. Just back in the 70s, 60s, 70s, you could do a lot of different things than you can do now in 2021. So Coach Mickler was a pretty fiery guy. From all the stories that I've heard, and it was definitely a different time and place back then.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you could do back when I was in high school that you can't do now, whether it's the rivalries or things you could say or quotes or whatever. Randolph leads the series 43-13-2, but Cole started to turn the corner. And now you have this 59th meeting with Coach Scott Kissy from Cole and also Elliot Ortiz from Randolph. I'm going to let you guys go here in a moment. But in the end, you want to beat them. You both want to win the game. There's no question every year I keep up with this score and really keep up with both schools. I knew both of you were 2-2 even before I started thinking about this segment because I have such great respect for both programs. In the end, it's about the kids. It's about the young men. It's about military families and military dependence. And isn't that really what it is about why this is such a great tradition?
Absolutely. And it's not just about wins and losses. It's about producing great young men. And when they leave the halls, to be productive and do the right thing outside of school. When they graduate, are they being great fathers? Are they being great husbands? Are they being great on their job? That's what we try to, and I'm pretty sure Coach Ortiz is the same way. Is we're teaching these young men to be men and to be able to handle adversity, whichever way it comes, and take care of their business. later in life. That's where we start looking at what success looks like is 15 to 20 years down the road. What are they doing?
Elliot?
Yeah, I can't agree more with Coach Kissy. That's exactly what we're doing. And having being able to show our support, we were both military brats, but being able to show our support and contribute to our military families and to be able to help mold their children into great people, like Coach Kissy was saying, is one of the special things about Randolph and Cole, because, the military child has, adversities and things that they have to deal with that, regular public school children don't. And we're able to be there to help guide them and support them in those times of need. And that's something that I feel truly special and fortunate to be a part of.
The first meeting was in 1963. Randolph won 32-0 last year. It was 41-0. As Coach Kissy, you mentioned one of your players, and in between there's been some unbelievable memories. We appreciate both of you for what you do, that you experienced it as players, and now you get to experience it again as a head coach as well. Scott Kissy, thanks for your time. Fort Sam Houston is where my best friend is buried in the National Cemetery. It's amazingly, it's a daunting place, what you guys do, what that base does, that post does. And Randolph, of course, known for what they have with the flight line and the incredible part of what the history is there with the fighter pilots as well. Scott Kissy, thanks for your time. We appreciate it, and good luck.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate you.
Yeah, you too. And it's great to meet both of you. And Elliot, thank you. Good luck. Appreciate it. There's no pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. Thanks, Smokey.
Thank you both. Elliot Ortiz of Universal City Randolph. I love that school. I have an incredible respect and love San Antonio Cole. And the rivalry, I have goosebumps. And I played in the game in 1976, and I still remember it. I'm so proud to be a part of honoring and also spotlighting the series of Randolph and Cole. I'm David Smoak. It's, again, Elliot Ortiz and Scott Kissy back with more on Smoky.com presents the Texas High School Football Weekly Podcast.
All roads lead to your largest selection of pre-owned in East Texas. 3306 West Grande in Tyler. It's time for a car buying experience you will enjoy at Peters Auto Sports. Cars from ultimate luxury to affordable economy. Trucks from work to play to all-out adventure. Come by 3306 West Grande in Tyler or visit us online at Peters Auto Sports and take advantage of our nationwide delivery. It's all here. Peters Auto Sports in Tyler.
For a limited time, refinance your vehicle and have 90 days with zero payments. Only at Genco FCU. Refinancing lowers your rate and you pay less for your car. You can't pass on rates as low as 1.75% for 48 months. Apply online today.
Annual percentage rate subject to change without notice. Subject to credit approval, membership eligibility, and loan policies. Go to GencoFCU.org. NCUA Equal Housing Lender.
My money, my future, my credit union. Genco.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
La Vega is, again, they've always had this mantra. We'll play anybody, anywhere, anytime. And a lot of it's because they've been so good. Now, they've been good in the past, but it all started when they won the state title. Willie Williams, the head coach, they beat Argyle. We did the game. I was there. Paul was there. Craig was there at NRG Stadium as they beat Argyle in the state championship. And they followed it up with more appearances, deep runs in the playoffs. And then, of course, Don Hyde won a state title as a head coach at La Vega. They will play anybody, anywhere, anytime. They just played a game on a Saturday afternoon in Corpus Christi against Miller, a really stout football team, and they won big. Now, they're in the off week, and they have Stephenville coming up. And I had a chance to visit with Don Hyde, the head football coach at La Vega. La Vega football coach Don Hyde with me. Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports, weekly high school football podcast. I love you and I trade text on occasion. You play Corpus Christi Miller. You play pretty much anybody. You had a game canceled. You go up to Dallas and play somebody. Anywhere, anybody, anytime, whatever, right?
Well, a lot of that's by necessity. I mean, we don't really have a choice a lot of times, but our kids are resilient and they don't mind stepping on the field with whoever we put them on the field with, and they don't really care about the records or rankings or all that. They just want to play football, and so we're blessed in that regard, and we're also blessed in the fact that we got an administration that allows us to go to Corpus Christi, Texas, and play a football game. And so, we just we enjoy playing football, we enjoy coaching football, and we have fun doing it. And so our kids are always willing.
Yeah, and plus winning most of the time it makes a difference as well. You feel like now you know who you are with that schedule you've played.
Yeah, we've certainly gotten better. I think the lump we took by Austin LBJ, who's a really good football team, was an eye opener for us and made us get better at a lot of things, and you made us grow up pretty quick. And so, sometimes getting beat early is good. And so we've done it before, and we'll probably do it again in the future. And so right now we're in a pretty good spot, and we just continue to try to get better. And
you played Argyle head up. I mean, it was an incredible game, obviously, with that as well. Division I and 4A is stout. It always is. But does it appear to be even now deeper at the top than it's been?
It's tough. I mean, it's tough across the board. There's a lot of good football teams, and there's a lot of good football teams in the top 10 that hardly have been beaten by somebody. And so, I know Heritage is up there, and they've been beaten by Springtown. We're up there. We've lost to LBJ and Argyle, who's above us in that poll. And, you have Melissa, who beat number 9 Paris last week. And, I mean, there's just a lot of really good quality football teams. And a lot of them are in Region 2, the region we're in. And that makes it even more competitive. But certainly there's a lot of good football teams in Division 1. I didn't even talk about Cal Allen and Fort Lavaca Calhoun. And, those guys down there, and Corpus Christi Miller included in that group. And so, it's going to be highly competitive, as it always is, and I hope we're up for the challenge.
Don, you told me earlier in the year that obviously you mentioned whether you're 3-2, 2-3, 1-4, whatever, you find out who you are. And I just asked you, do you know who you are? What is the personality? Is it exactly what it needs to be and what it's been for you for a long time?
I think we're very similar in a lot of regards. We're still working on the physical aspect of it that we want to get a little more, improve a little more on. But from that standpoint, I think we've thrown the ball well so far, taking what people have given us. And I think defensively we've had to make some adjustments because of the kind of kids we've got, and we're only going to get better from here. And so, I mean, just in that regard, we've kind of gone away from our staple of a base 4-3 and kind of gone with a 3 safety look the last couple of weeks. And so the kids have been having to adjust to that. And so, I mean, I think it fits what our kids are good at right now. And so, we're going to continue to tweak it and make adjustments to it and try to get better.
Don Hyde, Waco, again, we're in Waco, La Vega High School, and what kind of start they have. They get a break now. Would you have gone to Corpus Christi for a game like that or that distance had it not been for the bye week the next week? Would it have mattered?
I don't know that I would have. I mean, I think with it being week 5 and playing on a Saturday at 2:30 and having the week off the next week, it gives your kids a little chance to get back. Gives your kids a chance to get back and relax a little bit and probably take an extra day off, and which we was going to do anyway with it being a bye week. And so playing Saturday, Monday didn't hurt us, taking a day off with the bye week coming up. And so, no, I don't really think I'd have done it unless we had the bye week.
So you have the bye week, or the off week, and then, of course, you start district play as well. Stephenville looks like they've been through some ups and downs, and you've played them, but it looks like they're kind of maybe getting some of that back. Your thoughts about how the district sets up right now? Obviously, you're the favorite to win it.
Highly competitive. I don't know that we're the favorite. We're among the top tier teams in our district with Heritage and Stephenville and Brownwood and we've got a great group of coaches in this district. We've got a great group of teams in this district, and so Stephenville's playing about as well offensively as I've seen all year long on film, and they do a lot of good things. They put you in a bind because they're gonna it's a run pass option almost every play, and they got big, tall, physical receivers out there. They got a good offensive line. Their quarterback's done a heck of a job of distributing the ball where he's got to distribute it and make plays when he has to make plays with his feet. And so they're playing better. They're playing really good defense right now. And I talked to Coach Doty yesterday, and I told him, I said, man, you guys are killing people. And in typical high school fashion, he said, we ain't played the people you played either, though. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to come down to 11 Stephenville Yellow Jackets on the field on October the 7th or 8th, and 11 La Vega Pirates on the field on that Friday night. And so the better team that makes the fewest mistakes and plays the best is going to win.
What is it like to be back to somewhat you could call normal?
It's enjoyable. You know, we still got the mask around here a little bit because of the positivity rate that we had here on campus, and I certainly support our superintendent in making that decision and doing her best to protect the kids that are on this campus. And you know, at the same time, it's we're a long ways from where we were a year ago, and so. You know, the UIL's done a fabulous job of keeping sports going and making sure we've done all we can do to be able to participate and play, and it's enjoyable. I don't know that I could have gone through another year like I went through last year.
Who, and I know you have more than one, but can you name a player or two that has made you better because you've seen them go from wherever they were in August to where they are here at the end of September?
I think. Not just from a skill set on the football field, but we've had a bunch of our kids grow up a little bit in way of academics, in way of leadership roles and things of that nature. And so, you know, I'll mention Javion Cooper, our defensive tackle, number 44. I mean, he's grown up a bunch, and his play as a result of growing up has improved. And you know, anytime you see a kid not only get better on the football field, but mature in a way that's going to help him out the rest of his life is really enjoyable to watch.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thank
Don
you.
Hyde, head football coach at La Vega High School. They get the off week, and then it starts up with district play. This is Sick on 365 Radio, 365 Sports.
All roads lead to your largest selection of pre-owned in East Texas. 3306 West Grande in Tyler. It's time for a car buying experience you will enjoy at Peters Auto Sports. Cars from ultimate luxury to affordable economy, trucks from work to play to all-out adventure. Come by 3306 West Grande in Tyler or visit us online at Peters Auto Sports and take advantage of our nationwide delivery. It's all here. Peters Auto Sports in Tyler.
For a limited time, refinance your vehicle and have 90 days with zero payments. Only at Genco FCU. Refinancing lowers your rate and you pay less for your car. You can't pass on rates as low as 1.75% for 48 months. Apply online today.
Annual percentage rate subject to change without notice. Subject to credit approval, membership eligibility, and loan policies. Go to GencoFCU.org. NCUA Equal Housing Lender.
My money, my future, my credit union. Genco.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Thanks again to everybody that's helped be a part of this show, that's helped this show every week. Brought to you by Peters Chevrolet in Longview, including owner Randy Peters, Armstrong Sims behind the scenes as well. So now we go to what we do every week in the last segment. Before we say goodbye, we look at the elite games coming up. Now, this is all a part of, thanks to Jerry Forrest and pigskinprep.com. Jerry takes two teams, whoever's playing, wherever they're rated in his system. He rates every single high school football program known to man, and he puts them in ratings based on data and so much more. It's pretty amazing. The number one game this week, by not even close, is Argyle 4-0 against Melissa. They're 3-2. If you take Argyle, number one in the state, Melissa, number two in the state, according to Jerry Forrest, pigskinprep.com, that's simple. The number to the right, the lower the number, the better the game. Argyle's the favorite in this game, but that is, without question, well above, as far as the number, lower than anybody else playing this week. There's a really good game in Class 4A with Corpus Christi Calallen and San Antonio Cornerstone. That's a private school. They've played Carthage. Oh, my goodness, last week. They've played people all the time. They're not afraid, and they're good. But this is an interesting game in a non-district game. Also, in Class 2A, Crawford, the Pirates head coach Greg Jacobs against Toller. Toller 4-1, Crawford 4-0. There's a combination of 15. There's a six-man game, Westbrook and Garden City. Then there's a game between Spring and Westfield. And this is a 6A game and a great showdown. And, in fact, Spring, according to Jerry Forest, and pigskinprep.com is favored slightly by 5. Paducah and Anton in Class 1A is one of the other games. Crosby and Barbers Hill going down the list. Shiner and Wall. Now, Shiner's a pretty heavy favorite in this game, but it's a really good one in Class 2A. Wall is in 3A, so it's a non-district game, but two really good teams. A&M Consolidated in Huntsville in Class 5A. There's more going down the list. Let's go down to the 14th game. Chapel Hill. They got an offense that's putting up a lot of points. Lindale, a team last year that made that great run to the state championship. Jordan Jenkins, now the running back on the Baylor roster, led them there. But Lindale's struggling a little bit this year. Chapel Hill's a slight favorite of 4, but that's a game. Katy and Tompkins in 6A. Frisco Lone Star and Reedy in Class 5A. Then you go down a couple of more. There's Frisco Liberty. Liberty 5-0. Frisco 4-0. Frisco's the favorite, and of course Liberty, with the news that wide receiver Evan Stewart has been out the last 2 weeks, was not going to play this week, and now he's leaving the program. He's got schools and offers, and most likely Texas appears to be the favorite, Alabama and Florida among others. Then go down Van and Liberty Ilo. Liberty Ilo is actually 3-1 this year. They used to be able to run part of East Texas. They've been down. Van's got a quarterback, Rainey, who's been putting up huge numbers. There's a slight favorite in a non-district game in East Texas in 4A. And then go down a couple of more. Of course, unbeaten C.E. King and Summer Creek in a district game in 21-6A. And then South Lake, Carroll, and Keller. South Lake's a huge favorite. Keller, though, pretty good rating because they're 5-0, but the Dragons, they just keep winning with Riley Dodge as their head coach. So some of the elite games based on Pigskin Prep, the data that they have on their website, pigskinprep.com. And again, as always, thanks to Jerry Forrest as well. All right, thanks to everybody, our guests, for being a part of the show, focusing in on that great rivalry with military kids, with San Antonio Cole and my alma mater, Universal City Randolph. Thanks to Mike Spradlin at Rockwall Heath. Thanks to Don Hyde at La Vega, and thanks to you, and thanks to Peter Chevrolet and Randy Peters as well. I'm David Smoak, back next week right before week number 7. Enjoy the week of Texas high school football. Smoky.com presents the Texas High School Football Podcast Show for Armstrong. I'm David Smoak. Have a great weekend.